Welcome to this edition of the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten. And in this episode, I wanted to chat with you about something that's a little bit different than I normally would be covering on this episode, but I thought it was appropriate for this recording on the super moon, which is tonight. And I wasn't going to do this because I had some other ones pre-batched and recorded to go out today, but I really felt called to do this episode instead. So here I am. I love getting in touch with the moon cycles, with the seasons. I like being in tune with my rhythms, my body, and part of the way I do that is through tracking my cycle. And I started doing this a long time ago, more as a form of like natural birth control years and years ago. So this isn't new to me, but doing it more as a way to tune into my body, my self-awareness has been life-changing. And I will say it's been more challenging to do it over the last couple years because everything with hormonal changes being, 47, perimenopausal stuff, irregular cycles all over the place, stress causing all of that. It was a lot harder to track. And so now I'm getting back into a rhythm and back into a place where there's some regularity there that I can predict. And so I've gotten back into my practices and my release rituals. And what happened with this month is that I cycled literally, like the first day of my cycle is over the full moon. So and, whether you believe in this or not, remember that the moon controls the tides. It controls water. So if you are not so much believing in that the moon can affect you, that's totally fine. But I like to use it as a reset, like a time in the month where I can reset. And I do that with my cycle. So I really take it easy when I have my time of the month, my moon time, because, well, first of all, my body has forced me to. There have been months where that's all I could do for a day or two was rest and not do much of anything. But now it's more intentional. You'll notice if you pay attention that 7 days before your period comes, you're not as energetic. You're not wanting to socialize and be outward and use your voice a lot. You want to be quiet and people might irritate you more. And the shit that you have been repressing, silencing, pushing down, not saying, not expressing, it will all rise up during that time to be dealt with. And sometimes that is the worst time to actually deal with it. And so it's better to wait until you're into your day, 1 to 3, or even after your period is done is better to deal sometimes with those bigger things. It might be a tough conversation or a conversation with your boss or a family member or your relationship partner or whatever friendship that might come up to the point where you're like, I cannot just sit on this anymore. You'll have a last straw moment. And that is a sign that you need to deal with it. And this is where a lot of times women can feel like, I just want a divorce at this time, right? Every month around this time, I want to leave my relationship. That's because everything you've repressed and not expressed the weeks prior is coming up to be released with your bleed time. That's a whole, having your menstruation is a release time. We're literally releasing from our body every month. We're shedding, detoxifying, and letting go of our blood. And so we have to realize that women are not linear and that we're not meant to do all the time. To operate at the same level of energy all month long is being too much in our masculine. We're cyclic and our bodies change along with our hormonal changes. First part of our cycle, the follicular phase, is masculine. It's more masculine dominated, and we may feel more like we want to get shit done. We're tackling our to-do list. We're starting new projects. We're having the meetings. We feel on fire. Like usually that's when you want to make sure you're booking things if you can for that phase in your cycle. And this is where tracking your cycle can be so powerful, is saving those things for after your period ends, because you will notice you have this renewed sense of energy, motivation, and inspiration, and you'll be more in that energy of like working towards your goals. So this is where, when I've been working with women who are in these relationships and they are planning their exit and they're looking at, they're doing things because you have to do things, right? When you're working your exit plan, there's going to be things you have to do, and there's none of this feminine receiving and it's all going to get done for you. No, you're going to have to make those calls, take those steps, do this, do that. There's a lot of to-dos to get out. But some women have felt right before they haven't realized this until I pointed out, but it's like they're saying, I just am exhausted. I can't deal with this right now. I feel like I'm, all over the place. I'm scattered. I'm tired and all this. And I will say, where are you at with your cycle? Oh yeah, I'm premenstrual. I'm right before my period, or I'm on my period. And it's like, yeah, so can you just take a pause? Just let this settle for a bit, because I promise you, once you've had your period and you've given yourself some love and some rest time and respite and downtime, it'll be easier to tackle this in a few days. So just pay attention to where you're at and give yourself some grace that there's going to be a good week to 10 days out of the month that you need more downtime, and you're not going to want to be so outward with your energy. We're cyclic. We're not meant to operate on the same linear pattern that men do. They don't have these hormonal cycles every month they have to contend with. They're not hormonal. And don't let anybody minimize your feelings and your truth because you are quote unquote hormonal or on your period. That's a whole other side note. This is about honoring that, yes, I am hormonal, and yes, I'm not going to act unhinged and spew my emotional garbage all over everyone, but I'm certainly going to honor my emotions and realize that what's coming up for me right now needs to be addressed. I'm not just going to chalk it up to, oh, it's my period, I'm hormonal. There's that whole, trend out there to talk about it like that. But it's more that you're being told the truth, and you can make a joke about it or let people go, oh, someone's on their period. No, it's there. If you honor your truth, it's a yes, I am. And therefore, this is my truth, because I know what comes up for me around this time is something I need to look at. And then the second half of our cycle is the luteal phase, and it's more of a feminine energy, turn inward, a need for quiet, a need for contemplation and rest, a desire to withdraw from the world. And this is a time to get in tune with your natural rhythms. And so heading into your cycle and your actual bleed time is your luteal phase, and it is more for doing the self-care, the introspection, the journaling, gentle exercise, not intensive workouts. And you'll notice this, like your body will tell you, I don't feel like doing big incline hikes, or I like to do more just gentle walking outdoors in nature. I'll take my dogs for a walk, but there's usually a couple of days during that time where I'm not doing any hard and fast exercise. So if you listen to your body, you will notice this. And realize that menstrual issues and burnout are the result of not listening to your cyclic needs at a given time. So you might be thinking, okay, that sounds great, Leanne, but I work full time, or I run a business. I have a busy, demanding career. Maybe you work from home. I know many of my clients do. And they have professional, demanding careers. They work from home, so they have some flexibility. And if you do, utilize that flexibility. There is the point to where it's time management. I work from home, so I get it. But if you can take some time to really honor that period of time for a couple of days or even one day, especially on your heaviest day, it makes a difference. If you tend to get menstrual migraines, it's from tension. It's from pushing down your emotions for the whole month prior. And you'll notice when you have a release, when you're able to just connect with your truth and honor what is true for you, that those migraines will ease up, that you will have them less, that your periods will get easier because you are moving the emotions through instead of putting a lid on them. And it's also about understanding that, we are not meant to operate in that push goal-oriented energy all month long. We're not wired that way. And us high achievers like to think we are. And so then we wonder, well, why some days am I feeling like I can get everything done? I'm running here, doing this, doing that, tackling this, tackling that. And then other days I'm like, I can't even check one thing off my to-do list. My brain is fried. That's why. So I will check in because I will know. I'm look in my app. Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's you can almost know when a good time is to start a new project, to do a launch, when I'm enrolling into programs, or I'm creating new stuff, or I'm doing the boot camp, the relationship clarity boot camp that's coming up. It's sorted so that it is where I'm needing more expenditure of energy to be present for it. It's not anywhere near that time of my cycle. So you can try to do that. Doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it perfectly, but you can at least try to do it that way. So if you would like to take part inside of the Relationship Clarity Bootcamp, head to the link in the show notes of this episode to save your spot. You're going to want to make sure you're part of that. And it is happening October the 28th to November 1st. And then I will be opening up the next 30-day cohort of my program and the cycle. You can also get on the wait list for that if you've taken the boot camp already and you just want to be notified when we open again for the 30-day program. All the links will be in the show notes. All right, that's it for this episode, and I'll chat with you in the next one. Bye for now.